order a minute here.
Funny story about my mother-in-law snoring there.
Oh, God.
It's very funny. That's for after the meeting.
All right, we're almost there. No, did it make it the final agenda, or?
Well, it's, our oil and gas attorney drove up here,
Mm-hmm.
and he was here yesterday, and then he got kidney stone.
Okay, so we're taking out new business too?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Oh, well, that's unfortunate for him. I hope he feels better.
Oh, he said the drugs were
But wait till the drugs wear off.
Your
doing.
glasses.
I'll be over this by then.
Your glasses.
Yeah, you can do almost anything on some of those drugs, or you think you can.
Don't want to get stuff on.
Okay, we're going to call to order this regular city commission meeting of Monday, December 1st. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And we begin, as always, by acknowledging the land on which we gather as the territory of the Ottawa and Chippewa peoples, who have stewarded this land through the generations. Thank you for your strength and resilience in protecting this land and inspiring us to uphold our responsibilities to do the same. And with that, we will now go on to our roll call, please, Sarah.
Commissioner Anderson,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Ness,
Present.
Commissioner Funk,
Present.
Commissioner Shaw,
Here.
Commissioner Treadwell,
Here.
Commissioner Bomer,
Here.
Mayor.
Here. All right, and we will now move on to announcements from the interim city manager, please.
Yes, good evening. I have just a few announcements for this week, the week of December 1st. Of course, as we return from a holiday weekend, I hope that those watching and with us tonight had a nice holiday weekend with their tribe. And then, of course, over the past week, our region's been impacted by snow, and we just want to remind residents and folks to make sure, residents and business owners, I should say, to make sure that they keep the snow clear from their sidewalks so that there's accessibility for everyone. And also to make sure that fire hydrants are kept clear if you can, because when moments are precious, we don't need folks wasting time trying to clear space around those fire hydrants if they don't have to. And then, of course, Hickory Hills is working toward an opening date of December 19th this year. And that is, of course, weather and snowmaking dependent, but that is our aim. And in the meantime, I just want to share that early lodge hours for the season pass pickup and merchandise is offered Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. beginning December 8th. Again, beginning December 8th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, folks can get season pass pickup and merchandise sales at Hickory. And that's all that I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sarah, any city clerk updates?
Just a few meetings scheduled for this week. The Planning Commission will meet Tuesday, December 2nd at 6 p.m. here in the chambers. The Joint Rec Authority will meet on Wednesday, December 3rd at 7 p.m. at Garfield Township Hall. Hickory Hills Advisory Committee will meet on Thursday, December 4th at 9 a.m. at the Hickory Lodge. Parks and Rec Commission will meet Thursday, December 4th at 6:30 p.m. here in the chambers. And we're always looking for people to sit on our boards. We are currently working through doing interviews, but please get your applications in so we can get you scheduled.
And I had a question from somebody today actually texting me about applying to a board. You can apply to multiple boards.
Yes.
If you don't have to pick between one, if you're interested in several, you can apply to all those and see how you do in the interview process. Okay, and before we get started on the consent calendar portion, I'm just going to announce this at the top. New business item number 2 has been removed. There was a transportation/health issue, and so we will return to that likely on December 15th meeting. So that is being pulled from the agenda for this meeting. So with that, we will have Sarah continue now with the consent calendar, please, which is amazingly light today.
It's so lengthy. The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed therefrom and placed elsewhere on the agenda for individual consideration by the commission, and such requests will be automatically respected. If an item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted in parentheses on the agenda is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. 1. Consideration of approving the minutes of November 10th, 2025 and November 17th, 2025 meetings of the City Commission. Approval recommended.
Okay, and that's a bit of a misnomer of our consent calendar rules, because that is it. Does anybody need that item removed? Thank you, thank you. Seeing none, I think that's the appropriate comment there, Commissioner Shaw, I would agree. Any public would like that item removed? Seeing none, I will bring it back.
I move that we accept the consent calendar as presented.
Thank you, Mitch.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Shaw. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, so on to old business, and this is our authorizing contract for transport from Fire Department from MMR. Because of the issue, or because of the nature of this, I believe we have two commissioners who need to address briefly and recuse.
Yeah, I had recused myself from the MMR contract vote when we discussed it on November 17th. And it's interesting because I think Amy suggested, Mayor Shamro had suggested that might be a conflict for me, but I had previously talked to Laura about it, and we didn't seem to think there was a conflict. So it's...
You mean you spoke with Lauren, the city attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, I'm sorry. I'd spoken with the city attorney about it.
Lauren,
and-
Lauren gets
and sorry, else. We had kind of at that time, we didn't think that it was a conflict. So I guess going forward, is the insinuation by anyone that thinks something could potentially be a conflict going to be a conflict that we need to recuse ourselves for?
I would poll the commission to see by our ethics policy.
I-
I was going to say disclosing is the key, and which you have done. And I think, some of the major points were, is there financial benefit? This MMR and city services was voted on by the public.
Okay.
And so I would let the other commissioners weigh in on what,
I think
where
that
they're at.
had I had a better understanding of, there's a lot to read when you're brand new. And I had not reviewed that ethics policy yet, and I think going forward, I would not have recused myself, but I'm going to continue with that practice because I've done it once, and I will recuse myself from it tonight, but the learning curve's steep up here, but we'll do our best.
absolutely.
So,
And Jackie?
I will recuse myself from this tonight.
And I'd like to thank everybody for the high level of awareness around the subject. We're in kind of an unusual situation right now where the charter amendment was approved and the ordinance is in place, and yet some of the processes that support that, like our annual disclosure statements of potential conflicts, haven't been completed yet. So while we're in this sort of hiatus and learning mode, thank you to all of you who are showing sensitivity to the issue. And, this is going to become second nature. We'll get more and more familiar with how to implement it, I think, as we go along together. So, thanks.
With that, I'm going to, and I thank you for that general comment, but I'm also know that another commissioner needed to speak
Yeah.
to this first, too. so I
Thank
will
you,
allow
Mayor
that.
Shamro. My husband's an officer of Munson Healthcare, and Munson holds a minority interest in MMR, less than 10%. Therefore, I'm going to recuse myself tonight from this vote and the discussion.
Thank you. All right, so at this time, go ahead.
I'd just like to say thank you very much for taking the high road, and you did this at our last regular meeting. I think the perception, whenever there's the perception of bias, the perception is 9/10 of the law, and taking the high road is the best way to go.
I join you in appreciating that. I also join in Commissioner Anderson's notes that this is new and a new process. I think we're going to all have to figure out how this looks and feels because the ripple effect can be large and quick, and we need to make sure that we're not excluding people who work for our larger employers, own homes or buildings, are precluded from serving at all. I don't think that's where this is, but we just have to be careful as we have these conversations of the appearance, disclosure, and then the actual recusal process, and that's what we are figuring out right now. So I thank you both, Commissioner Funk and Mayor Pro Tem Ness, for taking the stance here, and we will excuse you now for this discussion. And then we did not separate these two like we were supposed to on the next one. So with that, we will now open up, and I will hand it over to the city manager to start the conversation.
Thank you. Yes, so what you have before you right now is an extension of the agreement that's currently in place with Mobile Medical Response, or MMR, who's been providing for some time primary transport, medical transport services within the city. As most everyone is aware, but just to remind that a couple of years ago, our voters approved overwhelmingly a millage to have our fire department take over those services. We're in the process of standing up that medical transport service. We have our fire chief here, Jim Tuller, our EMS administrator, Catherine Dunklo, who are working on that carefully. And we anticipate that next year we'll be in the position to fully take that over. And so with that, what we need to do right now is have the city commission approve a renewal of the agreement. It is really the only option essentially that we have, and I also will share that the city does not pay anything for this service, the city government that is. So I highly recommend that you renew this agreement, and in the meantime, we'll continue to work on shifting this important service to our fire department. That's all that I've got.
And just to let everybody know, for potential questions, we did have this conversation during our agenda review last week, where we will be getting an update. We are requesting that we have an update on the kind of status of where we are with this transition and becoming fully mobilized at the beginning of the coming year. So while we are doing this right now to kind of dot I's and cross T's, we have not forgotten, nor will we be without an update for much longer. We're just allowing this transition process to continue moving. So at this point, do any of the commissioners have questions? Go ahead.
No,
Heather.
no questions.
Oh, go ahead, then thank you, Heather.
I just want to thank everybody who worked on this agreement. It seems, I'm satisfied, particularly after our closed session 2 weeks ago, that this is what we have before us is agreeable to all parties. And thank you. I know that this was a difficult one because of the different transitions that were going on. So I move that the mayor and interim city clerk be authorized to execute a contract with Mobile Medical Response, MMR, with no cost to the city for EMS/ambulance services within the city of Traverse City limits as outlined in the fire chief's memo dated November 6, 2025. Such contract subject as to its substance by the interim city manager and its form by the city attorney.
Second.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Shaw and Bomer. Any further discussion on this? Go ahead, Jackie.
There was a reference in the proposal or in the documentation about changing the status of MMR from a provider to a contractor, and I just wondered if someone could educate me as to what the meaning of that is.
Yes, I'll ask Ms. Dunklo if she can, or Chief Tuller to come up and speak to that. They're in the thick of this, so thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Anderson, for that question. In a collaboration in developing this extension, myself, Ms. Dunklo, our EMS administrator, worked hand in hand with Lauren, our city attorney, and I'm trying to remember without my sticky note in front of me who said that was the best term to use for the contract or the agreement. I want to think it was Lauren that came up with that idea.
It was a request that MMR made. They just requested that it be called provider instead of contractor. It doesn't make a substantive difference in the contract itself. It's just what MMR is referred to as.
And we don't know what their motivation for that terminology is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Catherine fielded, I think, the request, so maybe she knows, but it doesn't change any of the terms of the contract.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't speak for Jeff Hafer, who is the MMR operations manager, right, exactly as to what his thoughts were with that. But he thought that provider sounded better than contractor and painted a little nicer picture, was the feeling that I got from him. But I can ask for more clarification if you'd like.
I don't want to hold this up, but on the other hand, I'd like to be reassured that there's no change in terms of legal ramifications, liability ramifications between providers and contractors.
There is not.
Thank you.
And that did not seem to be the intent either.
Okay, thank you.
I actually spent a lot of time looking at this 2 weeks ago, trying to figure out what was going on. And what I discovered was a contractor implies a vendor hired to perform tasks, and a provider, especially in public safety contexts, is closer to a regulated partner delivering an essential service.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Perfect.
That's what I was hoping to know.
That's great. Do we have, thank you for that, Heather. Do we have other questions at this time? Or, yeah, go ahead.
And there was a kind of a random reference to adjusting response times and some perhaps prior failures and some fines. We're going to hear more about that in the update. Yes?
Yes, we
Okay.
will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the commission or comments? Okay, any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I am going to now ask our commissioners to come back, but this next item was actually supposed to be divided into 3 on the agenda.
There's 3 motions there.
But we're going to have 3 separate items because of the discussions. No.
Okay.
It's okay. It was something we changed kind of before the meeting, and I didn't catch beforehand with the holiday weekend. So what we're going to do is, this is the ordinance for zoning changes for the hospital H1, H2, NMC 1 and NMC 2, and then HR Hotel Resorts. We are going to, there are 3, the motions are separated by 3 things. We are going to essentially turn these into 3 separate discussion items because there are going to be some disclosures and recusals. So I would just wanted to let everybody know that as we move through this, the agenda item is there. We're just going to handle each discussion separately, and we will start with the discussion of the H1, H2 hospital, and then I believe Mayor Pro Tem Ness had wanted to address that, so go right ahead.
Yeah, so in accordance with the ethics ordinance, my husband serves as an officer of Munson Healthcare. Munson owns facilities located within both the H1 and the H2 districts. Therefore, I will be recusing myself from this discussion and from the vote.
Okay, thank you. And so we'll have you step out now, and then we will open up. I will do right now with the NMC because it came up last time. I will let everyone know I work under NMC and Michigan Works. I'm employed on a 3-year grant by the state of Michigan that is paid by the state of Michigan, that is distributed through a third party called EduStaff. They are kind of like a manpower or something like that for academics. And so while I have an office space at NMC, I am not benefiting from NMC in any way, shape, or form, nor am I a direct employee of NMC. I don't even have benefits through them. So I wanted to let that know, because if someone did look, sometimes I'm out wearing an NMC badge. That is part of my work and where I wear my hats. But I am not in any way, shape, or form benefiting in any way, shape, or form from the zoning changes. And if we even want to get down to brass tacks, I work out of the Boardman Lake campus, which is not even in the city limits. So. Is that meet everyone's satisfaction? Yes, go ahead, Jackie.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you
thank
for
you.
the disclosure.
Yes.
And, you know, I presume under normal flow, the rest of the commission would have a chance to nod their heads too and say,
Yes.
yeah.
And I wanted to do it at the top, even though we've broken it into 3, because I am in theory leading the discussion. So I wanted to make sure that everybody was comfortable with that. So
Thank you.
thank you all. Okay, with that, just for the sake of this, we will kind of talk about what would be the changes in the hospital district specifically, and then we will have that motion, and then we can talk about how the other 2 are affected as well.
I know our planning director, Sean Winter, is here. Sean, can you just provide a very brief overview?
Sorry, Sean, there's a bit of a curveball because we have somebody joining for the next 2 parts, so.
Yeah, that's fine. So again, this was an amendment that was initiated by an applicant representing a property owner, I believe in the H2 district, wanting to remove the density limits in that district. So upon review, the Planning Commission, they've been working on this since 2010 to remove the residential density limits throughout the city, most recently in 2021 with the combination of the 3 multifamily districts, focusing instead on regulating the size of the box, the placement of it, the height, and things like that, and letting the developers divide the interior up to meet the market demand. So this is consistent with the efforts of the Planning Commission over, again, the last 15 years. This changes nothing as far as the allowed uses in each district, building height, setbacks, impervious surfaces. It just allows the inside of the box or building to be divided up accordingly. So when the Planning Commission received this application for H2, they expanded it to H1, NMC 1 and 2, which are the last remaining vestiges of residential density limits in the city. And then they also included the HR district, which doesn't have a residential density limit for the multifamily use that is allowed there, but rather for the number of guest rooms that are allowed. So that is the HR component.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
And I just want to just add to, like, tonight's vote is for introduction for future enactment.
Yes, thank you. I was actually going to make that point, so thank you for that, Sean. So this will not be the last time this would be on our agenda, even if the items are to pass. So does anybody have any questions at this time? Go ahead, Jackie.
Yes. I'm interested in understanding more about how a request from Mr. Josiak for, I guess, removal of a cap on dwellings per parcel for a specific property owner and piece of property became this broader lifting of caps. And I wondered which property owner and parcel was Mr. Josiak representing when he made the initial request in August? And could you just walk us through who said what when?
Well, Josiak of Josiak Consulting submitted an application for H2. When asked what property owner he was representing, he couldn't, as a consultant, disclose at that time, which is fine because anyone can apply for a text amendment at any time. You don't have to be a property owner or identify that owner. So we moved it forward, and we brought to their attention as staff, as we do with our report, the fact that this is consistent with the efforts beforehand. So the Planning Commission took it upon themselves to expand the initial application request to be more broadly encompassing of the other districts where those density limits still exist.
So was there a particular Planning Commission member who was advocating for this, or who brought the motion forward, or?
I would have to go back and look at the minutes to see who made the motion for it. I don't remember offhand who did that.
Can I ask a clarifying question of your question? You're asking who was advocating for it, but we have, through the course of a regular meeting, we have commissioners who make motions, but didn't inherently advocate for it. So I'm just clarifying what you mean by your question.
Yeah, unfortunately, I missed an October meeting at the Planning Commission. I think that was when action was taken on this. And so for my own information and understanding, I'd kind of like to, it looked from the surface, from the public documents, as though a consultant representing a specific property interest had asked for action, and that, this had become bigger than a bread box. And I'm interested in the process for how that transitioned to such a broad proposal from a very localized proposal. That's all.
Yeah, I can't speak for the individual planning commissioners myself, but it was the meeting before you missed that they decided to go ahead and expand for the public hearing, which I believe was the one scheduled for the day that you were absent, the other districts that were in there. So this is something that happens quite frequently. It's much akin to the zoning amendment that occurred on Union Street. We had an application for 2 adjacent parcels, and the Planning Commission, when looking at the master plan, saw that both blocks are calling for that zoning. So they, again, expanded the scope, which they're capable of doing. So.
And in terms of public comment at the Planning Commission level, there have been no public comments received, is that correct?
Yep, at the public hearing, there was no one spoke for or against it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead, Ken, and then Heather.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll just go real quick while I had you there, Sean. So the notification process of like the adjacent parcels to these zoned parcels that are going to receive this change, are those adjacent, like the neighbors notified? Like if I wanted to specifically request that my R1B house go to R2, does the neighbors have to be notified by that at all?
So if a property is going to be rezoned, then yes, within 300 feet, you get a mailed notice in addition to the requirement on the paper. In this case, this is a text amendment, so the law does not require a mailed notification, just a letter in the paper.
Okay, great,
Yep.
thank you.
And there's a lot of nuance to it. If
Yeah.
it's 11 or more properties, then you don't have to mail each one. So, you just got to evaluate case by case what the process is.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Heather, you had your hand up.
Yes, so we're talking about hospital here. It's kind of a rhetorical question, but That's okay, right? So we're going to, from like 15 per acre, 29 per acre, et cetera, to unlimited per acre. And does that reflect C1, C2, industrial, all the commercial?
Every
that we have
district
in Traverse
besides
City.
R1A, B, and R2, what's being proposed is consistent with every other district besides those two. Yep.
So that was really the reason to upzone these 3 non-commercial areas
Yeah.
to bring them up to the same
Yep.
unlimited amount of density.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not real, that's unfair to call it density, because it's really, everything stays the same.
Everything stays the same.
Everything, impervious, building heights, it's just how many people you put in the box.
Yeah, and so, what we've noticed over the last 2 years is our average dwelling unit size, as far as the people living in there, have gone from 2.5 to 2 people. So less people are living in each dwelling. So the box remaining the same size can be divided into more units because there's less bedrooms needed and things like that. So by removing this cap, it allows more flexibility to meet that housing demand as it presents itself.
Okay, I just have one comment. Although it doesn't change the size of the box, it does allow for more boxes within the box, which could mean more cars. It definitely will mean more cars. And I appreciate that all the districts we're talking about tonight are close to our mass transit, so to speak, and close to the city center. But if we are really serious about increasing population and not flooding our city with cars, then please, commissioners, continue to support making our streets accessible and safe for all mobilities in all seasons.
Excellent point, Commissioner Shaw. Do we have more questions? Go ahead, Jackie.
I know within the Planning Commission, there have been conversations about form-based code. And I wondered, could you give us an example, say, of an existing property in H2 that might be replaced with a new building under this modified zoning? What might the size, shape, and I know form-based code, that's all we care about, is the exterior dimensions and shape and setbacks and so forth. What might one of those look like? Can you give us kind of a min-max?
Well, it wouldn't change anything that would be allowed there today, again. So I'd have to look up the individual standards, but in the, let's see, you said H2 is the one you're questioning?
Just as an example.
So in the H2 district, we have a building height, we have setbacks of 5 feet, so it would be setback 5 feet from the property line, with or without this amendment. That doesn't change. Building height is 110 feet west of Elmwood. The rest of it's 90 feet, so that would all stay the same. None of that's changing.
So beyond the 60-foot, well beyond.
Yeah. So if anyone wanted to exercise that right in the zoning ordinance, they would have to bring it to a vote if it's above 60 feet.
Right.
Yeah. And it would have to go through a slub process as well.
Okay. All right. And that could be divided up into a vanishingly small unit size within that envelope.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, I do believe the construction code office, which is handled at the county level, has some standards, like for the minimum size of a bathroom, the minimum size of a bedroom, which any developer or architect would have to incorporate into their design of the building. But that's outside of zoning. But those are other types of regulations that affect,
for
the
livability.
the livability and the buildability.
Yeah.
Buildability? I don't know if that's a word. I don't know. Somewhere in there. The
Thank
designability of it, we'll call it.
Do we have other questions? Or I would take a motion. We're just going to do the H part of the motion if anyone would like to make it.
The top one.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll make it. I move that the amendments to the Traverse City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 1358H, Hospital Districts, to remove the density limits, which would align with all other non-residential zoning districts as recommended by the City Planning Commission, be introduced and scheduled for possible enactment on December 15th, 2025.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Bomer and Commissioner Treadwell. Any further comments or discussion about this? Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, just as a follow-up to that last point, unlimited does not mean truly unlimited. You're not going to have 1,000 apartments on a 10th acre lot. There are limitations both in terms of the size of the properties, the setbacks, height limits, but also how physically large a space can be. And that's not just what building code says, but what a bank or other lending institution is willing to finance. If they don't think that you'll be able to get tenants in bunk beds with 100 square feet per person, then they're not going to give you the money.
Any other? Oh, go ahead, Heather.
Yes, one final note, Mr. Winter.
Oh, Richard, can you behave for a moment, please?
I was reading through the uses in all three of these districts, and they seem pretty goofy to me. Like, you're not allowed to have art galleries at NMC or in the hospital district. If you've ever been to Mayo Clinic, hopefully you have not, but it is full of art. It's absolutely amazing. There are no coffee houses allowed in the H district. There are no hospital medical centers allowed in the H1-2 district. There's no lodging allowed. There's no small group homes. I mean, really? It seems not quite right.
I would agree. As we've shared with the city manager and the planning commission, we're going to begin the process of rewriting and restructuring the zoning ordinance because there's plenty of
You can have a golf
weird things
course,
like
I
that.
think.
What's that?
You can have a golf course, she thinks.
Technically you can, but
Zoning code.
realistically, no. We haven't removed that because it would make our existing golf course a nonconformity, and that would make things very challenging for them to do any improvements on their property.
Thank you.
Yep.
So continuous improvement is what we're hearing. Go ahead, Jackie.
I think this is a corollary to Commissioner Shaw's comment, but I was very concerned when I read the H1 district was established to accommodate medical centers, hospitals, related functions, including supportive housing types, which I interpret to mean things like rehab and assisted living, and Munson Healthcare owns virtually all of our H1 district, and yet we haven't received any commentary from them as to how this action may or may not support their own strategic and growth plans. And I am concerned enough about that I'm not going to be able to support this.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, as to your point, they own most of that property, so no one can develop it to take away from their hospital mission without their permission. So it's not really necessarily a threat since they do have ownership control of the property. But yeah, they do own a lot of it.
Did you want to say something else?
Yeah. I know that in our city, we have trouble with finding attainable housing, and specifically for nurses, and there's people who are working at Munson. So I view this as at least the first step in making it so that we can develop more attainable housing for the people who work here so that they can actually live here.
Go ahead, Jackie.
My fear is that it becomes a trade-off. These are small sequestered districts, and that if it's a trade-off between facilities for healthcare providers and housing for healthcare providers, there are some irreconcilable needs here. It will be a trade-off, and I would like to have heard from the employer of both of those types of healthcare providers to understand their perspective.
Well, I would offer in off of some of the things I've learned over the years here and the work I've been doing that we know that office spaces in general are being underutilized now since COVID, and just with the workforces we have, especially medical, there's telehealth that has cut down on a lot. So I also know it's not counted on the record, so this is anecdotal, that there are many people at Munson who are very aware of these changes and are either shrugging or glad to see that they might be able to put some units in for people to live in. And so that's anecdotal, it's not sworn testimony, so take that as it will. But I wanted to add in that I think we have this love sometimes in our culture of office space, and office space is being dramatically changed in how it's used and the way it's being used. And I think we all have to keep that in mind as well. I know that was something that started majorly in conversation 5 years ago. So go ahead, Mitch, you haven't spoken
Yes.
yet.
The city owns no land in any of these 3 districts, especially the H district. Yes, the city has its zoning map, the city has its future land use map and master plan, but it is up to the developers and the owners of any of these districts to decide what is the best and most efficient use of their land. Both Munson and NMC have significant property holdings outside the city limits, so they have master plans that might align in part with the city's current and future land use plans for those parts of the city, but they also have a scope that goes beyond what our 8 square miles is. And I don't see a problem in essentially giving institutions a little more flexibility to decide what is the most efficient use of their own resources within their own existing footprint. And they do have a process for coming up with their own master plan that we are not required to weigh in on.
Ken, you had your hand up, and then I did see yours, Jackie.
Yeah, we were talking about H1, correct?
H1, H2, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I can look at this map and I can tell for a fact that I know that there are some personally owned condos right on the corner of 7th and Elmwood, because the owners of those were in here speaking to potentially losing their ability to short-term rent those. So, I mean, not everything in this H1 is owned by Munson. So I don't, you know, this isn't necessarily a Munson development going in. And when we talk about accessory uses to like hospital-type activities, housing short-term, or nurses that are there for a short-term basis, and housing people that are there for a loved one with an extended medical condition, I mean, that's a possible use. So, I mean, I'm sympathetic, and I believe that would be fair, but it's not fair to say that's all Munson.
Fair. Jackie?
Just a reminder that I think Munson has been quite public about their regionalization plans and their centralizing of particularly specialty care, which is bringing in, you know, thousands of patients from formerly outlying independent hospitals for specialty care in Traverse City. And so while your comments about, you know, a glut of office space generally may be true, there may be some really specific pressures related to this organization and its future strategy that would change that mix and that need considerably. So I just am uncomfortable with not having them on record to support this.
Are there any other comments or questions from commissioners? Seeing none, I will open this up for public comment. This is just the H1, H2. We'll deal with the NMC and hotel after if you have very specific requests on those ones. Seeing none, I'll bring it back. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Anderson?
No.
Commissioner Shaw?
Yes.
Commissioner Treadwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Funk?
Yes.
Commissioner Bomer?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, motion passes. We can bring back our pro tem, thank you. And,
Mayor?
yes.
Me and Laura did have a conversation while we were in the recusal area, and we decided that we need some chairs in there.
Fair enough. That is noted for the next time we know
Thank
this is
you.
coming. Good point. Please note that, staff. Okay, so now we'll open up our discussion to, we can put it together, I'll leave it up to you all. We can make the motion as we go forward after discussion, or after questions, by all means, of NMC, just inserting the NMC and the HR together. I had them separated in case anybody objected to me being part of the NMC conversation. We have dealt with that. So do people have questions about the NMC and HR specific portions of this proposed change? Go ahead, Jackie.
This is a rerun question from the first portion of our discussion. It would appear that this would primarily impact the college districts in terms of dormitory accommodations. And I'm going to ask my form-based code question again. Under the removal of the density cap, what possibilities does that open up for the exterior dimensions of a dormitory on NMC's campus?
It doesn't open up anything different than what's allowed today.
And that would be,
I have to go back and look at the zoning ordinance here. For NMC, is there a specific dimension you're looking for? Or do you want me to start?
anything would be helpful.
They have a minimum lot width of 20 feet. They have a max height in NMC 1 of 45 and NMC 2 of 90. They both have setbacks of 5 feet from the side property lines. Is that answering your question?
Yeah, so would 90 feet maximum height translate to roughly a 8 or 9 story dormitory?
Typically, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Typically, it's, if you're calculating feet to stories, apply 15 feet for the first floor and 10 feet for thereafter.
Okay.
And that
thanks.
would still be subject to a vote if it was over 60
Yep.
feet, though?
Right.
Yep, this doesn't change any of the dimensions, any kind of design standards. The only thing that this amendment would do is allow the inside to be divided up without a limit on it.
And yet, but again, because of federal funding and other things, dormitories are also regulated. They can't be 100 foot with a single bed, correct?
Yeah, and even within the box, there's so many other elements that come in. You have to have corridors that have to meet ADA. You typically have to have 2 stairwells for emergency access. So a lot of it gets eaten up already by just code requirements.
Thank you.
Thank you. Heather, go ahead.
There were some big dreams when they put together the MC. I don't have any questions. I have some comments, so I can make the motion. And just to be clear, this is a motion to set a date for a public hearing.
Yes.
We're not actually voting on whether, okay. So I move that the amendments to the Traverse City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 1356, NMC University,
I know.
to, I guess it's the same as above, though.
Yeah.
All right, to remove the density limits which would align with all other non-R residential zoning districts as recommended by the City Planning Commission, be introduced and scheduled for possible enactment on December 15th, 2025.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Shaw and Bomer. And then you said you had some comments?
I do, I have a couple. I just want to note for people concerned about growth in those NMC areas that NMC 1 has a 30% impervious and NMC 2 is 50% impervious, so those are pretty big constraints on what you can build in there. And I also want to note that that again, art galleries are not allowed in NMC, bookstores are not allowed at NMC, coffee houses are not allowed at NMC, and dormitories are not allowed at NMC, but you can build a single-family house. And finally, I want to reiterate again that, that this could mean more cars, and if we want to increase population density, please support mobility for all seasons, for all people.
Agreed. And I would make a point as well, and I thank Commissioner Shaw for those comments, that I know in the past, when the NMC master plan came out, I remember following the discussion that there were some current concerns about development along there, and part of what came out of that is there are also some wetlands that are protected as part of this, so even all of this area that's being changed isn't all open and subject to development either, even by the current standards. Do we have other questions? Go ahead, Mitch.
Well, just a comment that to Commissioner Shaw's point about non-motorized transit, starting this fall, NMC has brought back Route 5 that does serve the on-campus population of Northwestern Michigan College.
That was Beta that brought it back, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. Give credit where it's
Sorry.
due. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I will open up to public comment then. Any public comment on the NMC use? Seeing none, I'll bring it back. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes?
Commissioner Treadwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Funk,
Yes.
Commissioner Bomer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
No.
Mayor.
Yes. Motion passes. And lastly, we'll move on to the Hotel Resorts District portion of this. Does anybody have questions specifically about this portion of the zoning changes?
No questions, but I do have comments again, so I will make the motion.
Thank you.
I move that the amendments to the Traverse City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 1338 HR, Hotel Resort Districts, to remove the density limits.
It
this
is awkwardly
sentence
worded.
just really is bad. Which would align with all other non-R residential zoning districts as recommended by the City Planning Commission, be introduced and scheduled for possible enactment on December 15th, 2025.
Support.
Thank you for Commissioner Shaw and Ness.
Can I add
Okay,
one?
and go ahead now, Commissioner Shaw.
Yeah, and my comment is that all of these density increases really don't guarantee that we will have any real housing. And particularly as density increases in commercial areas often lead to increases in land values, particularly in the HR and H districts. The things that businesses want around here, like childcare and more housing, depend more on investment from businesses than zoning changes. So that's my big point there. I also want to make a comment that outdoor swimming pools aren't allowed in the HR.
Oh, I could go for days on our zoning ordinance. I get it. Though I just want to add one point that makes this one different than the previous four that you discussed tonight is we don't have a parking requirement for residential. We do, though, for hotel rooms. So if they decide to divide the box up into more hotel rooms, then they have to have more parking spaces, which is capped by an impervious surface limit. So there's a bit of a backstop there that they would have to use a lot more nuance to figure out than just the residential that we were talking about earlier. So I just want to make sure that's known.
I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
So if they are only using like 50% of their impervious for their parking lot right now and their building, and they decide to add a lot more, will that trigger any kind of extra stormwater?
Yeah, so if they go to expand the parking lot or build an addition, then they have to bring the whole property up to the 2019 stormwater.
And add
ordinance.
trees.
And trees. Yeah, whenever they go to do an addition, really the addition or a new parking lot, even just resurfacing the parking lot, triggers a lot of compliance if they're non-conforming.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Mitch?
So since there are parking requirements for a hotel, but not for multifamily, if an existing hotel, say along Munson Avenue, wanted to convert into a multifamily housing apartment or condo complex, that would also be a tool to allow them to build more units.
Correct, yep, because they wouldn't have to dedicate as much of the land to parking. Yep.
Thank you.
But we have conversations with hoteliers who, they're starting to explore building housing. Like a lot of employers, they realize that if they don't have housing, they're not going to have employees. So, they're looking at ways to utilize their land a little differently.
That's great. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, then I will open this one up for public comment. So any public comment on the hotel resort zoning change? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Treadwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Funk?
Yes.
Commissioner Vollmer?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
No.
Commissioner Shaw?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Motion passes. We will now, and thank you all for moving through that. We will now move on to our discussion. This is brought back from a couple weeks ago about the water pressure district at the Commons. I know the request had mostly been of giving some time to notify residents or people of the district. So I will hand that over to Benjamin.
I'll turn it right over to Lauren if that's
Fair.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for giving us the time to have some extra communication with the folks over at the Commons. We work together with our staff in the Treasurer's Office, Director of Municipal Utilities, and staff of the DPW and Garfield Township, and we were able to refine the numbers. And then the folks at Garfield Township who are represented here, if you have questions, we're able to sit down with Mr. Minervini and go through those refined numbers. And it is my understanding that he was satisfied with that, and that they were able to have a really productive and good conversation about moving forward. So nothing else in this agenda item has changed at all. So if you have questions, I'll just leave it with that.
I do have questions, also knowing that we have representatives from Garfield Township here today. Or questions or a motion?
I can make the motion.
Okay.
If there's no questions.
And we can still have questions after the motion,
Okay.
so go ahead.
I'd move that the mayor and interim city clerk be authorized to execute an agreement with Garfield Township as outlined in the packet materials in the November 17th, 2025 commission meeting, and any additional documents necessary to implement the transfer of the Barnes Commons Water Service District to Garfield Township. Such agreement and document subject to approval as to substance by the interim city manager and as to form by the city attorney.
Support.
Thank you, and that was you, Commissioner Anderson, correct? Thank you. Okay, any further discussion or questions on this item? Go ahead, Commissioner Anderson, and then I saw Heather too.
Simply a comment to say thank you to staff. This was an excellent impact analysis, very helpful and calming of fears. So time well spent, and we're grateful.
Thank you for that, Commissioner
And
Shaw.
my comment is exactly the same. I can't say it better than Jackie did. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
And if I can just very briefly thank Chris Barshef, who's here, who's the Garfield Township manager, and Jennifer Hodges, who's the engineer of record for Garfield Township. And I also want to thank Joe McManus, who's not here, but he's a supervisor for Garfield Township, who sat collaboratively at the table with us. We hashed through a lot, and I just want to thank them for their spirit of cooperation as well. So wanted to mention that.
We always appreciate when somebody's willing to take on one more meeting night to come help us out too. Okay, before I open up for public comment, any final from the commission? Okay, with that, any public comment on this item, please feel free to approach. Okay, Matt.
Are you going to try to deep six this, man?
Yeah, let's start over.
Matt, I'm going to read the
Please,
rules
let's
real
not.
quick. Hold on.
My name is Matt Cowell.
You're fine. Go.
I'm sorry. My name's Matt Cowell. I serve as the executive director for the City of Traverse City and Charter Township of Garfield Recreational Authority. This water project is another shining example of collaboration between the two largest jurisdictions in our region. So, and I just want to add to the thanks, the spirit of the season and the spirit of what I just heard from the dais. This has been several years in the making. It started really with myself and Raymond Minervini. And pretty shortly after that, Ann Jamison Urena and the Grand Traverse County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, who in the span of about a single meeting figured out that she probably had a way to pay for all of this through the through the Brownfield plan for the Commons, which was an amazing result and something that we thought would fast track everything and make everything go really smoothly. And it did. Maybe it didn't fast track everything, but it made things go really smoothly from a financial standpoint. The city manager's office, this goes all the way back to Marty Colburn. It ran through. Liz Vogel and Deb Allen really helped get the ball rolling, and now Benjamin's seeing it through. So thank you to that entire office for their efforts. City Attorney Lauren, thank you very much. You've been balled up in this for a while. I had to make a list. When I came up, stuck my head up from the weeds on this, I literally had to write down everybody who had significant contributions to this. Director of Municipal Utilities, Art Krieger, thank you. Played a big role in all that. Justin Roy and your whole team. City Engineer Ann Pagano, I met her on Zoom at one of these meetings, so she stepped into the middle of this and did a great calming job and very helpful. Both fire departments, Chief Tuller, the fire marshal for the city, Keith Fritz, Brian Belcher over at GT Metro, the assistant fire chief and the fire marshal there, huge help. The Grand Traverse Commons Joint Planning Commission listened to me pound the table for this every quarter for the last couple of years. I want to thank them and City Planning Director Sean Winter, Township Planning Director John Syke, very supportive throughout the process. Township Engineer Jennifer Hodges, thank you, of Gordy Frazier. Joe McManus and Chris Barshef, as mentioned, thank you very much, both of you, for your efforts on this. Even the contractors, HRC, contracted through the city for some engineering expertise on this, big help. Walton Construction got the project built. The Recreational Authority Board of Directors has had this on its agenda monthly for the last 2 years, so great support and continuity from that group as well. And of course, the City Commission and the Township Board of Trustees for facilitating earlier this year, getting bids out, getting contracts awarded, and getting the project done. There's a gauge in the bowels of the cathedral barn that I've been staring at for years, and it hovered at 30 PSI for a long time.
We'll give you an extra minute, Matt.
It's at 60 now. We've doubled it. So we're right up where municipal supply needs to be. Amazing to watch that thing tick. We know it works, right? I actually saw it move for the first time in many years, like a week or two ago. So just thrilled and very, very grateful for all the time and energy that a great many people in both jurisdictions and beyond have put into this. And I think it's a great thing for the community, certainly for the Commons and Historic Barnes Park. And just thank you.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you for that reminder of both the scope of all the work that we do and we work together as township and city and the history of this long project. So thank you for that. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all for working so hard on that. Okay, and now we are going into our collective bargaining with the firefighters. So I'm going to let you, Ken, talk here.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So the law that allows me to be a city employee and also serve as a commissioner specifically speaks to this as my only conflict. There are some other issues that we're working with along the way, but as far as the contract goes, this is something I cannot vote on. So I will recuse myself at this time.
Thank you so much, Ken. Okay, so we had closed session about this 2 weeks ago. We have a collective bargaining agreement that has been ratified by the union being brought to us, so I will hand that over to you, Benjamin.
Thank you, Mayor Shamro. Yes, as the mayor mentioned, the firefighters union has ratified the terms of this agreement. I want to thank our Human Resources Director, Christine Bosley, for her work on this. She is joining us remotely. If there are some detailed questions, she can assist with those, but we were also assisted by a specialized labor lawyer who helped the city and the union come to this point, and it is my professional opinion and recommendation that the City Commission approve this agreement. It's consistent with the terms that were outlined a couple of weeks ago, and the key provisions of that agreement are included in the public packet materials that were published online, and unless there's a desire, I'm not going to go through those. I'll just say with respect to wages only that there is some catch-up that's being done where we are working to now align the firefighter wage increases with what has been provided to other city employee groups during the time within which this union wasn't eligible to negotiate with the city. So we're essentially making up for that. And I appreciate their work with us, and I hope for the City Commission's support of this agreement. Thank you.
Great. Do any commissioners have questions and/or want to make a motion?
I can make the motion.
Great.
That the mayor and interim city clerk execute a 4-year collective bargaining agreement with International Association of Firefighters, IAFF, Local 646, with terms as generally outlined in the November 17th, 2025 communication from the Human Resources Director, with the agreement subject to approval as to its substance by the city manager.
Support.
I'll give that to you, Lance. And any further comments or questions about this? Go ahead, Heather.
Much more than the MTS item that we had up above. I know that this was a very lengthy and difficult collaboration amongst many, and thank you very much. It seems also to be agreeable with all parties. We got a nice letter from the president of the Firefighters Association, so I'm very much in support.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Jackie.
I fully support this proposal, the proposed contract, focusing on the fact that soon we will need to recruit and retain the best of firefighter paramedics to support our ambitions to take over that function for the transport for the city. And I'm very pleased that we're in a position to be able to approve this contract tonight.
And I'll just make one slight edit that we are not about to. We are currently recruiting. So please, if anybody's watching this and is in the service or was fireman, wants to get certified long-term for paramedic, please look our way. I also wanted to thank everyone involved, Jacob and the union, our city staff, Christine. Because of some changes, this started under City Manager Vogel, and the union held held up conversations, and city staff did, all the way through to interim city manager Maren Tett here. And so I appreciate everybody's patience as we've gone through transitions at many levels with, on many items, and so we can bring this forward. So with that, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the commission. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Glad to have that put to bed so we can move on with that. All right, thanks, Ken. Okay, so one of our other closed sessions a couple weeks ago was our periodic review of Benjamin Maren Tett. At that time, we were able to go over some of the additional follow-up review process that was laid out in Benjamin's interim contract that included interviews with all department heads, both former and current city commissioners, and general performance review, all of which met the satisfaction of the commissioners as part of that discussion. So it was brought forth by myself and Pro Tem Ness, but really kind of just out of consensus, that we wanted to open up the conversation to appoint Benjamin as permanent city manager. Some of the reasoning is outlined here in this memo. Continuity of operations. Benjamin's been in place for a few months now. Demonstrated quality and performance. We have the interviews to back that up, as well as we've seen that we've been able to function very well as a government up here and beyond, just very well. Reviews training time and transition time. I think over the last few years, the public has watched as we have seen a lot of things put on hold, much like the contract we just voted on, or take a long time as we've gone through some different transitions. I think everybody in staff, commission, and public is looking forward to having some more consistency and being able to just focus in on the work that needs to get done, including our strategic plan, optimization. Several of us have gone through the recruitment process, which we can know can be tens of thousands of dollars, as well as organizational investment. We would be hiring from within, which was the consensus we reached a couple of years ago, and now the situation is presenting itself to allow us to do that. And because of the policy and practices and the law, we are not required to do an extensive search. So that is what is being presented right now, is that we would enter into contract discussions with Benjamin Maren Tett to make him permanent city manager. So I wanted to open up to the commission as well now. We are not allowed to deliberate in closed session, so we've gotten the reviews and everything else, but this is our first chance to talk about this as a group in a deliberative way. So if anybody wants to go ahead, Jackie.
Yes, please. I am very impressed with the results that our interim city manager has been able to accomplish so quickly. And particularly, I sense a change in the culture here at City Hall, and that there is an enthusiasm and a trust and a positive anticipation for the future that maybe wasn't so obvious a while ago. So I want to thank Mr. Maren Tett. I see him as both an exceptional manager and an exceptional leader, and I look forward to these negotiations to make the position permanent.
Sure. Other input from commissioners? Go ahead, Heather.
I've known and have been working with Ben for 8 years now, and I've always found him to be a person of integrity. He keeps his word. He approaches problems with openness and optimism. His presence is cheerful, and he's generous with his time. I have never seen evidence of prejudice towards special interests. He has always appeared to be genuinely dedicated to a culture of service, and a culture of service to the community's wants and needs and the staff's wants and needs. I also hugely appreciate his lack of prejudice towards commissioners, some commissioners, something that was painfully in evidence during Vogel's tenure and which supported and strengthened a divisive membership. Ben grew up in Traverse City, and public service was his first job. That's correct, right? To me, that points to a special kind of person. It certainly wasn't my kind of person who escaped the family farming business to become a waitress so I could save money to get out of town as fast as I could. No. My appreciation for my hometown didn't actually grow into me until my 40s. But Ben, he was there from the beginning, and I honestly don't think we could find a better candidate for city manager.
Thank you, Commissioner Shaw.
I
Yeah,
can-
go ahead, Laura.
So the hiring of a permanent city manager is one of the most important steps and most important decisions that the city commission can make. This is an important step. It's a necessary step. We need strong and steady, stable leadership at the helm. And I can't think of a better leader for Team Traverse City than Ben Marentat.
Thank you. Other comments from commissioners? Or
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, thank you.
I move that a conditional offer of employment for the permanent city manager position be extended, and upon the acceptance of the offer, the mayor, mayor pro tem, and city attorney be authorized to negotiate a proposed employment agreement with Benjamin Marentet, with such agreement to be brought back to the city commission for authorization.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioners Bomer and Anderson. And now that we have a motion and we have some comments, if you'd like to say a few words, Benjamin, please feel free.
Yes, it'll be much shorter than a few months ago. I just want to say thank you. It's an honor to be here at this point, and it is my genuine desire to serve in this capacity for a very long time to help this community achieve some wonderful things along with our city employee team. And I'm just tremendously humbled, and I really appreciate the comments. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And I would just, one comment I would add that was alluded to is we have the raw materials in the packet here, but several employees even saying, can we hire him already? I think is also a testament from our employee feedback. So with that, I would like to open this up for any public comment. Please feel free to approach the podium.
I'm going to read the rules this time. We ask that you state your name and address, indicate if you're a city resident, non-city resident, and/or city business owner. We have a 3-minute time allotment per speaker. When your time has elapsed, the timer will beep. And finally, we request that all language be respectful to all parties.
Why did you give me that eye look for?
Hi, Richard.
Hi. Richard Lewis, 1744 East Front Street, and I'm just a has-been, so here I am.
Never.
I came here tonight in reality to help defend the idea of making Benjamin permanent, but I see I have to do very little of defending. I've sat in every one of your chairs and had to deal with 2 other chairs on a regular basis. You could be making a more insightful and important decision than moving him to getting rid of the interim title off of his tag and making it permanent. I've known him since he was a pup when he showed up here. And he's come a long way, taking advantage of everything, learning everything, following the leadership of Deb Curtis, learning everything. And then 2 years ago, when he had to make a decision, he learned more about himself than he ever thought he would learn. And he took that to his advantage and has taken and took the deep dive. Benjamin, I'm proud to know you.
Thank
I
you.
wish you very good luck. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Richard. Any other public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes. So we will now let Richard go home, and we will, in the future. Promises. Just kidding, Richard. Great to see you. So we will now have this go to city attorney. Myself and Mayor Pro Tem Ness will be minimally involved, and then what's brought back will be authorized or for further negotiation to the city commission. At the end of the day, it is all 7 of our decision on all of this, what it says. So thank you all for that. And with that, we will now go into the new business. And this is an item that I had brought forward. It's a periodic review process. This really started with former Mayor Pro Tem Mark Wilson and I, that part of the process of review during this last cycle was some points that we had been wanting to address for a while that Becky Ewing, who was helping us, helped us to kind of form a very loose kind of request or ideas we don't want to be overly prescriptive. What we do with every employee and where they are in that phase as we meet with them is going to always be dependent on what's happening in the city, but we really wanted for clarity and for public connection, really. You know, people are used to us going into review once a year with the city manager and city attorney, and that's not really a great way to be an employer, I mean. You know, and you might have annual reviews with a boss, but you probably have some check-ins in between. I conjecture a little, and Richard just left, so I can't check, that probably why this has never existed is Open Meetings Act hasn't always existed. People used to just go grab food or drink after a meeting and hash out what happened at it. And I'm not saying that we need to go back to those good old times nor that I miss it, but over time, we don't do that. We have a very professional relationship with the city manager and the city attorney as a commission, and we are the employees, or employers of our employees. And so this is a proposal for a policy to be brought forward to have some discussion on. No action expected tonight, just to get some input that they're, much like we shall have an ethics policy, we shall meet quarterly with the city manager and city attorney unless both waive that right in a public meeting. So it could be that that a commission's gone through a major input process, they feel like that and the last review don't need it. Whatever reasoning they might have for not meeting, they would have to come before the city itself at a meeting and openly vote on why they were doing that and explain. Or there would just be quarterly periodic reviews for check-ins, which I don't think is a bad thing to do. So that was really the goal, is getting up some of these standards. Policies are made for the position, not the person. And so that is also, this would be something, unless a future commission changes it, that would be out there for any commission, for any city manager going forward. So this is just to open up that discussion and hear what you all think. So please feel free. Go ahead. I'll do Heather and then Jackie.
So these reviews would look like what we did, the performance evaluations that we did the last 2 times with Benjamin. Would any staff be involved?
I think we could.
2 questions.
It's fair. I think we could dictate that staff's involved. That would cost some money, or we could say that this is just requiring the city commission to meet with their employees quarterly. At that point, a commission could say, fine, biannually we want to check in, so we're going to approve spending in between. The reason why this is looser is this just would require the employer's employee to sit down, not require that extra input. That could be changed if we wanted to do that as well.
But the rest of it would look very much like what we did with Becky Ewing, where we get some questions
Yes.
to answer, and then we have an interview.
Yes, at least for the 7 commissioners it would,
Okay.
yes.
And just one more question. There, in the performance review, I guess that's what you call it.
Mhm.
Well, the ones, the 2 that were done for Benjamin with the staff, there were a number of staff members that asked about performance reviews for directors.
Mhm.
I assume that is not a commissioner, that would be something that you as the city manager would
Yes.
handle.
And it
Yes.
is certainly
I can assure you that's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear that. Thank
And that can be part of our check-ins during our periodic reviews as well ourselves. Just to remind the public that periodic reviews, just like any employee, most people aren't brought before their employees or their employer and have the whole office sit and listen in. We do have the right to go into closed session for these, but I think the goal would be to be sharing to the public how things are going, the benchmarks by which we're trying to measure these. Also, I think that part of this process too, by having these quarterly and having some more public discussion than just once a year, will allow us to hear from other commissioners too about what kind of questions we should be asking. We've kind of looked to professionals for that in the past and had a small team asking those. I think this is going to lead to more robust questions and input from all commissioners for the process as well. Your question reminded me of that, Jackie, sorry. Or Heather, sorry. Jackie, it's your turn. That's what I was trying to say.
Thank you. You know, I've had the pleasure and pain of delivering hundreds and hundreds of performance reviews over my career. And I think going into it with an expectation of no surprises on either side is essential. So I don't want to see this supplanting the daily feedback, the spontaneous feedback that we need to be giving each other constantly. So no one should go into a quarterly or an annual review wondering, what are they going to say? So that I hope is an understanding that we share. I have a suggestion, a few suggestions in terms of content, and that is that we be talking about support for strategic planning. You know, what kind of progress specifically has been made in accomplishing and integrating our strategic pillars? What kind of progress has been made on specific job responsibilities, project sorts of things? And then also, if we talk about shared values, if we can identify those values that we hold highest and most important within our community, integrity and honesty and mutual respect and some of those values, to be giving feedback on those also, I think would be important. You know, assign weights, quantify it, at least on an annual basis, and to have a high expectation that everyone in the organization will have the benefit of this kind of honest feedback on a regular basis is going to help a lot.
So if I can say a couple things, because we are now going into a contract negotiation.
Right.
I think some of what you're talking about for the strategic plan and things are specific to our current situation. Those could be integrated into the discussion of the new contract, though, for Benjamin, and then the benchmarks that we want to see would be discussed by us and shared out. I think your point about shared values, though, is a much more general, kind of universal, and so maybe we'd want to think about, and again, we're going to bring this back, so this is not a final say on it, but maybe even saying, referencing our own, like, ethics policy or something of, just like, the city manager is and the city attorney are I'm going to wordsmith here and be poor about it, but, our leaders on our own ethics policy, which outlines X, Y, and Z. We expect this behavior between them and the commission as we move forward with reviews, et cetera, so that we're not overly prescribing in a policy. But I agree with what you're saying for, the job responsibilities, support. All of those are going to be in flux over the months and years. So I think that is something that we could certainly talk about. We know that the strategic plan is a 3-year or a 5-year plan. Contracts are usually 3 to 5 years. So if not, with annual review or annual adjustments sometimes allowed. So that can certainly be something we integrate into generally in the contract, but then that will be on us to kind of put those benchmarks out and share them with the public as we decide on them. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think translating longer term objectives into annual goals is, well, we're in that process right now.
Right. So great. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's good feedback and good benchmarks for us to start talking about. Does anybody else have any suggestions at this time?
I'd just
Go
like
ahead,
to
Laura.
thank Mayor Shamro and former Mayor Pro Tem Wilson on their work on the periodic review policy. I think that consistent evaluation and feedback is really critical to the success of our team and thereby our community, our entire community. And I really like Commissioner Anderson's concept of somehow tying these periodic reviews back to commission goals and to the 6 pillars of the strategic plan. I think that will be really helpful in terms of the structure. So thank you for your work on this.
Great. I will work, since it's regarding 2 of our employees, we'll just have Lauren eventually do a legal check on it for us, but I'll work with Sarah a little bit on integrating some of that general broader thing, the broader concepts into a more a policy somewhat like was outlined here that can be kind of open, and then we can check into the contract as well as our own future schedule for checking in, which I think, first quarter is going to hit us pretty quick. So I think that'll give us some chance to do some stuff before, at the very beginning, that we'll be doing if and when we ratify a contract, that will be outlined there, but also setting those benchmarks as we get a permanent person in, Benjamin, hopefully, as we've all voted tonight. And then quarterly after that. So that should get us some pretty quick check-ins for those benchmarks that we're going to put out. So does anybody else have anything else they'd like us to add to that right now? We can always, when it comes back, somebody might say, oh, I totally forgot, or I think now they look at it, we need this. That's totally fine too. This is just to get us on our way, but something very broad. Does that sound good to everybody? Great. All right. Well, then we'll take that back. Fine-tune that some more and bring that back to you I'm just going to be honest, in the new year. Not far into the new year, probably in January, maybe early February, depending what the schedule looks like. But I don't want to drag it out too much, but also we'll be kind to the staff knowing that we are going into the holiday season and want them to be able to wind down the year a little bit. Okay, now, that actually will take us through our full agenda since we pulled item number 2. Does anybody have any reports they want to give from their respective offices? Go right ahead.
We had an Arts Commission meeting I think it was last week. We had 5 people show up. We've never had anybody show up with proposals and ideas. I think it's all it's the mural
Yes.
festival. So we've got tomorrow, we are interviewing 5 candidates for 2 positions. I think 2
Wow.
positions. This is also unheard of. But the thing is that I'd really like to get whoever is chosen on the December 15th agenda, because I'm not going to be there. There's always the chance that we won't have a quorum, and we have an important item on our agenda, which is the Gateway Sculpture, choosing the artist for the Gateway Sculpture. So I hope we can get that on the agenda super quick like that.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Got a thumbs up over here from Sarah, so that looks very promising. Do we have other reports out? Okay. I'm going to do a broad one here then, as in mayoral duties. I did the light parade 2 weeks ago and welcomed Santa, who was always great to work with. And so I just wanted to remind everybody too, though, as we celebrated that in our downtown, and we have a lot of great events coming up, that if even one person moves one gift for $40 from Amazon to a local business, that adds $10 million to the economy. Think about that. And that 70 cents per every dollar spent locally, or sorry, for every dollar, 70 cents stays local when you shop local. So even if we know it's tough economic times now, it's tough economic times for our local business owners too. So even if you can just do one thing local instead of online, that makes a huge impact here in our community and with our friends and neighbors who are running their businesses. So just wanted to throw that out there as Santa would wish. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open up for any general public comment. So do we have any comment on anything? Could be on the agenda tonight, could be something you just want to talk about. All right. Well, seeing none, I'll bring it back. Any final public comment or final commissioner comment on anything in general? Go ahead, Mitch.
Well, in the announcements and at the top, it was said that Hickory will be selling advance passes. I am pleased to report that thanks to the recent snow, the cross-country skiing has already begun, and the high school team was training there this afternoon.
That's great. Great to hear.
All right.
All right. Well, with that, we wish everybody a wonderful evening. If you're any students that need a signature, you can bring them up. Also, you kind of lucked out that you got through so much to write about in an hour and 20 minutes. So good job on you all for picking tonight if you chose it. Meeting adjourned.
And Richard still left early.
Yeah, and Richard's, we definitely got done before Richard's 10 o'clock.
I have a pen.